So the last week or so, probably a few weeks, I've been thinking a lot about work and people's jobs and my own line of work. And for a long, long time, I've always been one of the people that has the attitude of like, well, just stop complaining and keep grinding. But lately I've softened on that a bit more. The more I look around, the more I talk to people, the more myself getting fed up with the amount of headaches and stress that go into what I'm doing, and the amount of headache and stress that most people are enduring. It's not matching the pay. There comes a point when you really start thinking to yourself, how much longer am I going to keep doing what I'm doing? What happens if I really do just say F it and walk away? A lot of people I talk to, they don't like their jobs. A lot of people I talk to, they might be cool with their job, but they're not satisfied with where they are or where they're going to be. We're in weird times right now. And I've always thought, and I still think, the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality is the best mentality. And I still think it is. And unfortunately, I'm not a big fan of that. I get why everyone's frustrated, but I've always gone to that because at the end of the day, that is your only option, to be honest. But the more I think about it, I get the people that don't want to hear that. Because there comes a point when you just think, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And when I say I don't want to do this anymore, I'm not just talking about a specific job. This whole game that we're in, this whole, like the Matrix people talk about, this whole big machine that we're in. And I love my tinfoil hat discussions. But I don't know that this whole big machine we're in is some big plan. Maybe it is, but I wonder if it's just complacent people burying their heads in the sand for years and years and years, letting politicians and corporations together do what's going to hurt the others in the long run. Because make no mistake, when you talk about the state of our nation, you always get two camps. You get people that are, usually the people on the left are saying it's these corporations are evil and they're greed and capitalism. And then you get the people on the right that are saying, no, it's these sleazy politicians and the scammers and too much government and too much taxation. But the honest truth is, like most things, the answer is not some sexy, Scooby-Doo pull the mask off. There it is. No, it's not. Usually the answer is in the middle. It's the gray area. It's both. It's really both, to be quite honest with you. The corporations and the politicians have both sold us out a long time ago. That's the truth. And I think right now, we're in a situation where, like the people at the top, whoever you want to point to, I think a lot of them know that for them to admit anything really scary would be their worst move. Because then everything, the bottom falls out. But at the same time, I personally don't think like everything's cooked and it's too late. No. I think this ship can be turned around. It's just not going to happen in our lifetimes. It's going to be a lot of work. A lot of people that thanklessly slave away and make massive sacrifice that's probably much more than most are willing to do to try to turn this ship around. Because most young people you talk to, they're at a point now where And again, I've criticized them for being lazy, and I make those jokes. And I still do think a lot of young people that I talk to are pretty lazy, but they're lazy because they're not motivated. They don't want to have to do the work. Now, like I've said before, I'm one of these weirdos that likes doing physical labor and stuff, so it's not so bad. But even myself, like the last few weeks, I have really found myself questioning work, questioning what I'm doing, and just, it's a lot. It's a lot of headache, a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and dealing with people that really make it difficult. Customers that just want more and more for less and less. Other unforeseen headaches with material deliveries and unforeseen headaches with this and just the stuff that comes along with doing business. And the same goes for you if you're working for a company. I mean, just the unforeseen crap of having a blowout on your way to work when you're already running late. Your radiator, your car's overheating. You didn't see that coming. Your boss is already pissed at you because of whatever. So you're on thin ice. Just so much stress, or deadlines for stuff, and someone else didn't come through with something, and now it's falling on you and messing you up, or just all, you guys know how it is. Everything. It gets to a point when you're like, man, I don't know how much more of this I can endure. And I'm one of those people that's always got this attitude of like trying to be a tough guy. Just be tough and gritty and get through it. But all of us have a breaking point. All of us get to a point where we're like, man, I don't know if I want to do this enough. I don't know if I care enough anymore. And I'm not here to like cry, because I'm going to keep grinding and stuff. I'm just thinking out loud with like getting frustrated, and trying to understand the people more that I talk to that have just like given up. Because we're all different. We all handle pressure differently, and some of us have gone through more pressure than others. But we all get to a point where we're like, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze anymore. And it's not really my job to judge somebody else's like work ethic or drive if their heart's just not in it. And I've said many times, you don't have to love what you do, right? So I'm one of those people that says if you're good at something, make money. You don't have to love it. I don't like that lie that everyone's been sold of like, you have to love what you do. No, you don't. There's people that take jobs that are grimy and gritty that pay really well. They don't love it, but they're good at it. So I don't think you have to love what you do. But when you're at a point where you are so miserable, where this is like physically, mentally and physically damaging your life, you really start to question it, And I think when we talk about like this big machine, I drive myself nuts sometimes when I sit back and think about this like big machine that we're in, or the Matrix, because it's like, at least in America now, we're at a point where most people are struggling. Like, I think we can all agree on that. Most people are struggling. And you think about the health issues we all have, right? And these food companies lying and putting crap in our food. And you can't be optimal at work without your health being optimal. And you can't work optimally because your health's not optimal, mental and physical. But you can't afford the good food to make you feel optimal because you don't make enough to afford the good food. But then you can't work harder because you're not optimal. So it's just like this. It's this rock, paper, scissors, this chasing your tail thing. And you sit back and you just want to like throw your hands up. When you really sit back and your mind wanders into all this chaos, it'll like make you snap, it'll drive you nuts. When you sit back and you think about how far away from real life we are as people now in this big machine. With like social media, we talk about this all the time, social media, all the division, and you go in comment sections and everyone's attacking you for whatever reason, and you're the bad guy and they're the bad guy, and you get all these bots that say controversial stuff. Because make no mistake, man, I got friends that work behind the scenes from social media platforms, and they tell me like a lot of these profiles and comments that say divisive stuff, it's bots. There's somebody that's trying to drive a stake between people, say things that we're going to get under your skin, attack you for whatever, your race, your religion, what you look like, and this and that. So it's like, when you really think about this chaotic mess, it's like we are so far away from whatever we're supposed to be doing on this earth, we have gotten so far away from it that it just makes you just want to throw your hands up. And I think that's why myself and so many others like looking at these like nostalgia AI videos. And that's a whole AI. Here we go with that. It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But I look at these AI videos of like perfection, simple life, kids riding their bikes in the 80s and like 1960s New York City, and everybody's dressed nice, and it just makes you want to cry, man, because you look at the world today and it's like, what a mess. You know, excuse my language, but what a fucking mess, dude. We're living right now in this big machine that's just a shithole, dude. Everybody's on edge. Everybody's struggling. Everybody's unhealthy. God damn, dude. It just makes you want to snap sometimes. And I try to be strong, and I promote that. I try to tell you guys to be positive and be strong to the best of your ability. Try to use your sense of humor to deal with the stress. But my God, man, everyone's different. And it gets to a point where I see people out here snapping. I see people giving up, and it just breaks my heart. And the worst part is I'm somebody that wants to fix things, and I don't have an answer. I can't help people. When I can't fix it, it just drives me crazy. I think we're all kind of there to whatever degree, right? We're all different. But this big machine that we're living in, man, it's crazy. And part of me wants to just snap and walk away from all of this. Sometimes I look at these guys out here on the street and I'm like, I wonder if they got it right. I wonder if these guys have it more right than we do. They're just living in the moment, focused on basic survival for today, and that's it. Just living in the moment. Sometimes I wonder if they got it right and we got it wrong. And of course there's a level of sarcasm when I say that, but I don't know. I'm starting to question it. I don't know. Am I crazy? What do you guys think?